Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to draw others in effortlessly? It's not luck, it's language. Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and master of human behavior, reveals that attraction has less to do with looks or charm and everything to do with how we make people feel. The truth is, connection happens when emotion, not logic, is activated, and the 4 secret words that can instantly attract anyone are, "Help me understand you." These words carry power because they tell people, "I value you, I'm listening, and I care about what you think." When you say them with genuine curiosity, walls come down and trust begins to build. Most people listen to respond, but very few listen to understand, and that's why true connection is so rare. When you lead with empathy, curiosity, and calm confidence, you create a magnetic presence that people can't resist. Remember, your words are your energy, they shape how others feel in your presence. So, the next time you want to connect, influence, or attract someone, don't try to impress them. Instead, use the power of understanding. Because in the end, the most attractive person in the room is the one who makes others feel seen, safe, and understood. The 4 secret words that attract anyone, inspired by Evy Poumpouras. Have you ever met someone who instantly draws people in? Not because of how they look, but because of how they make others feel. That magnetic quality isn't luck or charm, it's communication mastery. According to Evy Poumpouras, former Secret Service agent, author, and human behavior expert, attraction is rooted in emotional intelligence. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room, but the one who makes others feel seen, safe, and valued. The way we use our words determines whether people are drawn toward us or pull away. The secret lies in mastering emotional connection, and it all begins with understanding the hidden power of language. The first key insight Evy reveals is that words trigger emotion, not logic. Most of us think communication is about exchanging information, but in reality, it's about transferring feelings. When you speak, you're not just delivering words, you're shaping emotions, energy, and perception. Attraction happens when your words create safety and warmth. People don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. The tone of your voice, your facial expression, and your intent behind every sentence matter far more than the content itself. That's why some people naturally make others feel relaxed and open. They've learned to speak in ways that reach the heart, not just the head. Now, let's talk about the 4 secret words that can attract anyone. Help me understand you. These words may sound simple, but they hold extraordinary power. When you say this to someone, you instantly disarm defensiveness and open the door to connection. It's one of the most emotionally intelligent phrases you can use. Why? Because it flips the focus away from yourself and onto the other person. It signals respect, empathy, and curiosity, 3 of the most attractive traits in human interaction. In a world where most people feel unheard or misunderstood, those 4 words act like emotional gold. They say, "I care about your perspective. I'm not judging you. I'm trying to see things through your eyes." That level of understanding builds trust faster than any compliment ever could. Evy Poumpouras often emphasizes that people want to feel heard, not judged. The majority of conversations are driven by ego. People listen only to respond, not to understand. But when you truly listen, when your intention is to learn rather than to prove, people open up to you. It's not manipulation, it's genuine empathy. Whether you're in a business meeting, a friendship, or a romantic situation, people are drawn to those who make them feel emotionally safe. That's why emotionally intelligent people are often described as magnetic. Their presence calms the room. They speak less but say more. They don't try to control conversations. They create space for others to feel seen and valued. Another secret Evy teaches is that curiosity builds magnetic presence. When you show real interest in others, not fake or forced curiosity, but sincere engagement, you become unforgettable. People love those who make them feel interesting. By asking thoughtful questions, you shift the energy of any interaction. It's a quiet confidence that says, "I'm comfortable enough in myself to focus on you." That's the kind of energy that naturally attracts people without effort or pretense. Finally, remember that your words shape energy and perception. The way you speak reflects how you feel inside. Negative words carry heavy energy. Understanding and kind words radiate warmth. When your language matches your authenticity, you become aligned, and alignment is irresistible. It's not about rehearsing clever lines. It's about being fully present. Attraction isn't about impressing others. It's about expressing truth with kindness. So, the next time you meet someone new or want to deepen a connection, skip the small talk and use the 4 words that change everything. Help me understand you. Speak from empathy, not ego. Lead with curiosity, not control. Because the secret to attracting anyone isn't about being perfect. It's about making others feel that they matter. And when you do that, you don't just draw people toward you. You inspire loyalty, trust, and real human connection that lasts. People want to feel heard, not judged. Inspired by Evy Poumpouras, one of the most powerful lessons from Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and expert in human behavior, is that real attraction and influence begin with one simple truth. People want to feel heard, not judged. It sounds simple, but in practice it's one of the hardest skills to master. In a world where everyone is talking, posting, and trying to be understood, very few are truly listening. Yet, the fastest way to connect with anyone, to gain their trust and respect, is to make them feel that their voice matters. The secret isn't in how much you speak. It's in how deeply you listen. When people feel genuinely heard, they don't just open up, they naturally gravitate toward you, because feeling understood is a rare and powerful human experience. Evy Poumpouras learned this truth through years of high-pressure communication, interviewing suspects, protecting presidents, and handling volatile situations. She discovered that people respond not to authority, but to empathy. When she approached others without judgment, even the most defensive or closed-off individuals began to open up. Why? Because judgment builds walls, but understanding builds bridges. People can sense when you're silently judging them, just as easily as they can feel when you're sincerely trying to understand them. This invisible emotional exchange determines whether someone feels safe or guarded around you. In every conversation, your energy communicates before your words do. When you listen to reply, you're focused on yourself. But when you listen to understand, your attention shifts toward the other person. That shift creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is the foundation of attraction, trust, and influence. Think about it. How often do you meet someone who truly listens without interrupting, without trying to fix, correct, or compare? Very rarely. And that's exactly why it's so magnetic when it happens. People are drawn to those who make them feel valued, not those who make them feel small. Evy often reminds us that the human mind craves validation, not perfection. You don't have to agree with someone to make them feel heard. You simply need to acknowledge their emotions and perspective. Phrases like, "I understand how you feel," or, "That must have been difficult," show empathy without judgment. These are small words with massive impact. When someone feels seen, their defensiveness drops, their body language relaxes, and their tone softens. You shift from being an outsider to someone they trust. In relationships, this builds closeness. In leadership, it builds loyalty. In everyday life, it builds connection. And connection is the foundation of all influence. Being non-judgmental doesn't mean you accept bad behavior or agree with everything someone says. It means you choose curiosity over criticism. You try to understand the why behind their actions. Evy Poumpouras calls this active empathy, not just feeling for someone, but engaging with intention. You listen with your whole self, your eyes, your posture, your silence, and your attention. You communicate that the other person matters, even if you disagree. That's what makes you stand out in a world full of noise and ego-driven communication. Judgment, on the other hand, shuts people down. The moment someone senses you're labeling them, even silently, they start protecting themselves. Their emotional walls rise, and real communication stops. That's why even good advice often falls flat. People don't care what you know until they feel that you care. The greatest communicators in the world, from leaders to negotiators, all have one thing in common: they make people feel safe enough to open up. So, if you want to attract, inspire, or influence anyone, start by mastering the art of listening. Listen with empathy, not with ego. Ask questions like, "Can you tell me more?" Or, "What made you feel that way?" Instead of trying to prove a point, aim to understand a perspective. Your goal isn't to win the conversation, it's to win trust. Because when someone feels heard by you, they associate that feeling of comfort and validation with your presence. That's how attraction works, through emotion, not performance. Evy Poumpouras teaches that the most magnetic people in the world don't talk the most. They listen the best. They create emotional space for others to feel seen, valued, and respected. So the next time you're in a conversation, put away judgment, quiet your inner reply, and truly listen. Because when you make someone feel heard, you give them a gift that few ever receive. And in return, you gain their trust, respect, and connection. Curiosity builds magnetic presence, inspired by Evy Poumpouras. There's something undeniably powerful about people who radiate calm confidence, those who make others feel instantly at ease in their presence. According to Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and expert in human behavior, the secret behind this magnetic presence isn't about looks, charm, or status. It's about curiosity. Real attraction happens when you make others feel seen, understood, and interesting. And the fastest way to do that is through genuine curiosity. Curiosity is the invisible force that draws people in, makes them open up, and turns ordinary conversations into meaningful connections. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I'm comfortable enough with myself to focus on you." Evy Poumpouras learned through years of protecting world leaders and navigating high-stakes interactions that curiosity disarms people faster than authority ever could. When you show real interest in others, they sense it immediately. They feel your authenticity through your body language, your questions, and your attention. Curiosity communicates safety. It tells people you're not judging them, you're not trying to control them, you simply want to understand them. And when someone feels understood, they relax, open up, and start trusting you. That's the foundation of influence, attraction, and connection. Most people underestimate the power of curiosity because they confuse it with interrogation. But curiosity isn't about asking rapid-fire questions or prying into personal matters. It's about listening deeply and letting the conversation unfold naturally. It's not about collecting information, it's about creating connection. When you're truly curious, your tone softens, your eyes engage, and your energy shifts. You move from being self-centered to other-centered. That shift makes you magnetic because people can feel when your attention is genuine. In a world where everyone is distracted, giving someone your full attention becomes a superpower. Evy often says that curiosity is a form of respect. When you take interest in another person's story, opinions, or experiences, you validate their existence. You tell them they matter. That validation creates warmth, an emotional resonance that people are instinctively drawn to. Think about it. We're naturally attracted to those who make us feel important, not those who try to impress us. The moment you stop trying to be interesting and start being interested, everything changes. People remember how you made them feel, and genuine curiosity makes them feel valued. Curiosity also changes the energy of your presence. When you approach life and people with openness instead of assumptions, your conversations become richer, your connections deeper, and your influence stronger. Instead of walking into a room trying to prove yourself, you walk in ready to learn. That mindset makes you approachable and trustworthy. Evy Poumpouras emphasizes that even in interrogation or negotiation, the person who listens with curiosity always has the upper hand. Why? Because curiosity gives you insight, and insight gives you power. You understand motivations, emotions, and fears that others miss because they're too busy talking. But curiosity doesn't just attract others. It transforms you. It keeps you humble, grounded, and aware. When you're genuinely curious, you stop assuming you know everything, and that humility makes you emotionally intelligent. It turns ordinary interactions into opportunities for growth. You start noticing details others overlook. The way someone reacts, the tone behind their words, the emotions behind their silence. That awareness builds emotional depth, and emotional depth is irresistibly attractive. There's also a spiritual side to curiosity. It aligns you with empathy. When you're curious about someone's story instead of judging it, you cultivate compassion. You realize that every person you meet has a reason for who they are and what they do. That mindset shifts your energy from criticism to understanding, and that's when people start to feel safe around you. Evy Poumpouras calls this the invisible influence, the ability to draw people in without trying, simply by making them feel accepted as they are. So, if you want to develop a truly magnetic presence, stop trying to impress and start being curious. Ask thoughtful questions like, what inspired you to do that? Or, how did that experience shape you? Listen without interrupting, without rushing to give your own story. Give people space to express themselves fully. Your silence can often speak louder than your words when it's filled with genuine attention. Because in the end, the most captivating people aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones who make everyone else feel heard. Curiosity is confidence in disguise. It says, I don't need to prove myself. I'm here to learn about you. That's the kind of energy that draws people closer, builds trust, and leaves a lasting impression. As Evy Poumpouras teaches, people may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how your curiosity made them feel. And that, right there, is the true definition of attraction. When your genuine interest becomes someone else's comfort. Words shape energy and perception. Inspired by Evy Poumpouras, every word we speak carries energy. It builds, breaks, or balances the emotional tone around us. According to Evy Poumpouras, a former Secret Service agent and master communicator, the words we use are not just sounds, they are emotional codes that shape how others perceive us and how they feel in our presence. Words are power. They can calm or ignite, heal or hurt, attract or repel. Whether we realize it or not, our words create the emotional environment we live in. When we speak with awareness, intention, and empathy, we influence not just conversations, but connections. When we don't, our words become noise that weakens trust, confidence, and presence. Evy Poumpouras teaches that language is energy made visible. Every sentence we utter sends a signal, and people subconsciously read that signal before they even process the meaning. That's why tone, rhythm, and choice of words matter so deeply. You can say the right thing the wrong way and lose connection instantly. Or you can say the simplest thing with warmth and authenticity, and people will remember you for years. The energy behind your words is what gives them power. You can't fake sincerity, and you can't hide negativity. People feel it. That's why the most magnetic individuals are intentional with their language. They don't speak to impress, they speak to express. Your words not only affect others, they also shape how you see yourself. When you speak harshly, complain often, or criticize constantly, you're programming your own mind with that same energy. You become the echo of your own negativity. Evy often emphasizes the importance of self-directed language, how you talk to yourself when no one's listening. Words like, I can't, I'm not enough, or I'll never be able to, drain your emotional strength before life even tests you. But when you reframe your words, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'll figure this out, your brain starts to follow that pattern. The way you speak creates the lens through which you experience your world. Positive speech doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means using words that empower rather than weaken you. In communication with others, Evy Poumpouras reminds us that words can either connect or divide. When you speak from empathy and understanding, your words become bridges. But when you speak from ego or judgment, they become walls. Think about how easily a kind word can soften anger or how a careless comment can ruin someone's day. That's the power of linguistic energy. When you speak, your words enter someone's emotional space. They can bring light or leave a scar. That's why intentional language is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. Knowing when to speak, how to speak, and when silence says more. Evy also teaches that perception is shaped not only by what we say but how we say it. People remember your energy more than your exact words. You could tell someone, I understand, but if your tone is sharp or distracted, the words lose their meaning. On the other hand, a calm tone, patient pacing, and genuine presence can make even a few simple words feel profound. That's why great communicators don't rush their speech. They align their tone with their intent. They speak with calm authority and emotional clarity, and that creates an aura of trustworthiness and confidence. The energy of your words extends beyond conversation. It defines your reputation. People form perceptions of you based on how they feel after talking to you. If your words leave them encouraged, understood, or uplifted, they'll associate your presence with positivity. But if your words often carry criticism, gossip, or negativity, people will subconsciously withdraw from your energy. Evy Poumpouras calls this the emotional residue of communication, the feeling you leave behind when you exit the room. That residue determines whether people are drawn toward you or avoid you. The most powerful people in the world, emotionally, socially, and professionally, all understand one thing: words are not just tools, they are vibrations. When aligned with authenticity and kindness, words can inspire action, resolve conflict, and build trust. But when misused, they can destroy relationships, damage credibility, and even poison self-worth. Every conversation is an exchange of energy, and words are the vehicles that carry it. So, choose your words the way an artist chooses colors. Be intentional, aware, and grounded in your tone. Before speaking, ask yourself, will this add light or take it away? Speak from strength, not insecurity. Listen more than you talk. Let your words match your energy, and let your energy match your values. Because as Evy Poumpouras reminds us, the way you speak becomes your identity, and your identity becomes the energy people remember. In the end, words don't just describe your world, they create it. The power of emotional energy and communication, inspired by Evy Poumpouras. Every interaction we have, every word, every tone, every gesture, carries emotional energy. According to Evy Poumpouras, former Secret Service agent and expert in human behavior, communication is not just about what you say, it's about the energy you bring when you say it. Long before people process your words, they feel your emotional state. They sense your confidence, your calm, your authenticity, and even your insecurity. That's why two people can deliver the same message and get completely different reactions. It's not the words that make the difference. It's the emotional energy behind them. Evy Poumpouras often says that communication begins before a single word is spoken. The moment you enter a room, people feel your energy. Whether it's tense, open, calm, or chaotic, that energy shapes how they respond to you. If your presence radiates warmth, respect, and composure, others will mirror that. But if your energy is defensive, anxious, or aggressive, people instinctively guard themselves. Humans are emotional mirrors. We reflect what we receive. That's why understanding and mastering your emotional energy is one of the most powerful communication tools you can ever develop. Think of emotional energy as the invisible language that defines your presence. It's not visible, but it's always felt. You can't fake it, because energy doesn't lie. You can pretend to be confident, but if your emotions are rooted in fear or insecurity, people will sense it immediately. Evy teaches that to project confidence, you must first regulate your inner state. The way you breathe, the calmness in your eyes, and the steadiness in your tone all transmit signals of control and credibility. True confidence isn't loud, it's calm, grounded, and quietly powerful. That's why emotionally steady people tend to attract attention effortlessly. They make others feel safe without trying to dominate. The secret to mastering emotional energy is self-awareness. You can't control what you're unaware of. Before you speak, pause and check in with your emotions. What energy am I about to project? If you're frustrated or nervous, your words will carry that vibration, no matter how polished they sound. Evy Poumpouras learned through years of high-pressure service that emotional control is not suppression, it's regulation. You don't deny your emotions, you manage them. You breathe through them. You let your logic lead your tone, not your temper. When you're calm, your energy becomes magnetic. People lean in, listen, and respond with respect. Another key point Evy emphasizes is that your emotional energy can either elevate or drain others. Every interaction leaves people with an emotional imprint. Some people walk into a room and the space feels lighter. Their energy uplifts, reassures, and motivates. Others walk in and the atmosphere tightens. Their words, even if kind, carry tension. This is why energy awareness matters so much. People may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how your presence made them feel. If you can consistently bring centered, composed energy into your conversations, you'll stand out effortlessly. You become the calm in the chaos, the grounded voice in a noisy world. Evy Poumpouras also connects emotional energy to empathy. When you genuinely care about people, your energy naturally becomes more magnetic. Empathy softens your presence. It makes your communication feel safe and sincere. When your intention is to understand rather than impress, your tone changes. Your words slow down, your eyes engage, and your listener feels valued. That's the emotional resonance that creates trust and attraction. Energy aligned with empathy builds bridges faster than any clever phrase or rehearsed charm ever could. On the other hand, when your emotional energy is negative, filled with resentment, impatience, or arrogance, it creates resistance. People may listen to your words, but close off emotionally. Energy speaks louder than language, and if your emotional tone doesn't match your message, people won't believe you. That's why leaders, communicators, and influencers must align their inner energy with their outer expression. Integrity of emotion is what gives your words authenticity. So, how do you build powerful emotional energy? Start with intentional presence. Before every conversation, ask yourself, what do I want this person to feel after I leave? Maybe it's calm, inspired, respected, or understood. Let that intention shape your tone, pace, and energy. Be fully present, no distractions, no pretense. When you focus entirely on the person in front of you, your energy aligns with connection. That's when communication stops being mechanical and becomes meaningful. In the end, Evy Poumpouras teaches that your emotional energy is your unspoken message. It enters the room before you, stays after you leave, and defines how people experience you. You don't need to be the loudest or most charismatic person to be impactful. You just need to bring calm, grounded, intentional energy wherever you go. Because words may open the conversation, but it's your emotional energy that keeps people listening, trusting, and remembering you long after the words fade.